It's been a bit since a documentary has captivated me to such a degree. Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter is a new 2-part Netflix doc that will continue to amaze you as the minutes tick by. A mother finds herself drawn into a labyrinth of unanswered questions when she discovers the daughter she gave up for adoption many years before has disappeared. So unlike most of the Netflix documentary series, this is only 2 episodes instead of 3 or more. And really, it's just a 2.5-hour movie that's split into 2 parts. I'm not sure why they did that. There you go. So we learn about this mom who had a baby when she was a teenager. Unable to care for it, she placed it up for adoption. And it was a closed adoption, so she never knew what happened to the little girl. Years and years later, the birth mom, Kathy Tarkanian, receives a letter informing her that her daughter has gone missing a couple of decades prior, which sets Kathy on a path to figure out what happened and where her daughter went. Now, Kathy can come across as abrasive and gruff. She's no nonsense and doesn't have many filters, especially now that we see she's fired up to discover what transpired for her daughter. She instigates investigations, dogging the police and the detectives to unearth clues and then follow old leads. She even hires investigators to assist, driven by her belief that the adoptive parents, Dennis and Brenda Bowman, had something to do with the disappearance. Now, this plays out like an intense thriller. There are recreations that help to illustrate what could have happened, brought to life by actors, while investigators and Kathy provide commentary. I'm not usually a fan of dramatic recreations within documentaries, but here they're used to show movements and actions, rather than have people putting on a full performance and then speculating on what was said within those moments. Now, if you're unfamiliar with this case, don't Google it. Just simply go in and enjoy the ride that builds. As the moments pass within the accounts, and then we get further details on people's movements and past behaviors, bombshells continue to drop that caught me completely off guard. I mean, we're going along in the investigation, and then boom, out of nowhere, this game-changing set of facts are revealed. Seriously, my jaw was left hanging open, and that happened several times throughout the doc. And some of the storytelling might feel like it's beginning to go on some kind of weird tangent. Even though the facts and the investigation may take us down some rabbit holes, everything ends up being addressed in one way or another. So no time is actually wasted in bringing us completely irrelevant information. And unlike a lot of docuseries, this one isn't unnecessarily lengthened by fluff and repetitive storytelling. We watch everything play out fairly linearly. Sometimes we go back further into the timeline just simply because new facts and evidence have been uncovered. But the progression of it all flows nicely, with efficient pacing. Now, I didn't feel the time. In fact, I was actually a little annoyed that I had to start another episode rather than just have the 2.5-hour film just continue uninterrupted. Now, all of the interviews are produced and then filmed really well. A lot of the time giving us very intimate access into Kathy's life and her personal space. I mean, so many times the camera's right up in her business, showing us the tormented emotions that she's experiencing as she grieves through the lack of knowing what became of her daughter. We're also shown so much footage from police interviews, and it's crazy to watch how conversations unfold in interrogation rooms, never expecting that the information that is uncovered to actually come to light. I mean, there are also some audio recordings that are played throughout, and some of these, I think they're certainly going to help to form an opinion on some of the people involved. These people say some really messed up and callous crap, and some just could be out of hurt or maybe frustration. Most of the time, though, the ones that say these terrible things, they never take them back or even feel the slightest twinge of guilt for their words. And all of that makes them then come across heartless and sketchy. Now, unfortunately, simply based on the content, this isn't a wholly happy story to endure. I mean, the info that comes about, it's disheartening and obviously sad, just simply because we're watching a birth mom search for her daughter who disappeared decades earlier, with no knowledge of her whereabouts now. And the case is incredibly twisty, and thanks to masterful storytelling, the narrative informs it and educates at the same time that it provides a thrilling mystery. The interviews tell personal and intimate accounts supported by tasteful recreations that help to reinforce and showcase what might have occurred. And the length, I think, is perfect, not puffing up the runtime with irrelevancies or repetition, instead telling a concise but detailed account of a captivating unsolved case. There's no sex or nudity, a lot of profanity, and some terrible images and descriptions of violence. Now, as a reminder, I don't give couch ratings to documentaries, but Into the Fire, The Lost Daughter, it's one I highly recommend putting on your watch list immediately, if not just watching right now. It's riveting and twisted, and it also showcases the power of a mother's love. All right, so have you seen any great mysteries lately? I'd love to hear about them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.